Wind, hurricanes, and a potential East Coast landfall. I'm meteorologist Andrew Markowitz, and here's everything you need to know about the tropics. And as always, we're going to give you the full breakdown with no hype, no nonsense, and no fear-mongering. First, we have Tropical Storm Umberto, which looks quite healthy and is primed to rapidly intensify over the coming days. Umberto will likely become a hurricane by the end of this week, and there's a good chance it reaches Category 3 or even Category 4 major hurricane intensity. If so, that means that we would be 3 for 3 in hurricanes achieving major status this season, joining Erin and Gabrielle. This has only happened 3 times in recorded history, most recently in 1935, which for reference was the year of the Dust Bowl, so it goes to show you that this would be an incredibly rare feat. Thankfully, Umberto is still expected to recurve out to sea, well away from any landmasses. However, he will be a big key for what happens next. That takes us to Invest 94L, which is a disorganized cluster of storms currently spinning near Hispaniola. The NHC now gives us an 80% chance of developing into a tropical system over the next 48 hours, and when it does, it will be given the name Imelda. Taking a look at the large-scale pattern that will ultimately determine the track and intensity of Imelda, it's a very complicated setup with a lot of moving pieces. However, there are 4 main players. First, we have the Bermuda High, which steers systems from West Africa to the Western Atlantic. Next, we have Umberto. Based on the timing and track of that storm, it will force 94L, or future Imelda, to take more of a northerly trajectory, at least initially. Next, we have a big blocking high that extends from the upper Midwest all the way to New England. This also forces Imelda to come closer to the coast, at least initially, and also prevents it from going all the way up to New England. And finally, we have a sneaky cold front over the southeast, which could either absorb Imelda and take it inland, or actually steer it out to sea. As a result, there are currently 3 main scenarios. Scenario 1 would be a westerly track with landfall anywhere between northeast Florida and South Carolina. Scenario 2 is more of a northerly track toward North Carolina and Virginia. And finally, scenario 3 would be a recurve out to sea, basically following on the footsteps of Umberto. Ensemble models are still pretty split between these different scenarios, representing lower than average confidence in the forecast. However, the latest set of hurricane models have trended very strongly towards scenario 1, with landfall in South Carolina and a track toward Georgia afterward. If Imelda makes landfall in the US, scenarios 1 or 2, the problem is it would be surrounded by high pressure in all directions. This means she would essentially be trapped and therefore would stall over the same area for multiple days. This opens up the door for a significant flood threat for portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, and yes, this could include areas that are well inland. To address the elephant in the room here, this one will not be nearly as strong as Helene. That was a Category 4 that originated in the Gulf, and this one at most will be a low-end hurricane, like maybe a Cat 1. And there is still a lot up in the air right now, just given that it is a very complicated setup, and it is only a hypothetical storm at this point. Having said that, I do think because this storm is moving faster than previously forecast and will be racing ahead of Umberto, I think a landfall somewhere on the East Coast early next week is becoming more likely. Sea surface temperatures are quite toasty and wind shear is pretty low, so there is certainly a window for this to strengthen at the last second. At this point, if I'm in the Bahamas or anywhere between northeast Florida and the Delmarva, I am preparing for a potentially significant storm. Within that, the area that needs to pay closest attention is Georgia and the Carolinas, and yes, that does include areas that are well inland. If you live along the Gulf Coast and Florida south of Interstate 10 and in the northeast above Interstate 70 or so, I think you guys are in pretty good shape the way things look. We are still very much in wait and see mode, and as I always say, unless there is a reason for me to be concerned, there is no reason for you to be concerned, and I will always be honest and transparent with you. Please share this video with anybody in the path of the storm, and it's very important that you are listening to reputable sources like myself and other degreed and professional meteorologists. For more updates on the storm and other severe weather all around the world, please make sure to follow me on all social media platforms so you can stay weather aware.